Putting pen to paper or keyboard to a Word document is still a very self-informative process. Now, the act of self-reflection, when done accurately and honestly, will always be a positive experience. Now, part of my journey of even being able to do these videos and share and become a better teacher was really to uncover what's going on within myself, and part of that process through my self-development, journal work has always been a consistent marker of how I'm doing in my life. Now, I truly believe that things that happen to us, the words that we speak, the habits, thoughts, and images that we hold in our mind, and the emotions that we have in our heart will somehow manifest itself in our physical reality through people, relationships, circumstances, and work. Now, a lot of this is impressed upon us when we're very young and impressionable, and it's reinforced over and over again as we age and we grow. But at any time, we can use our mind and our heart to reprogram our self-image. And if we hold this image in a positive manner long enough, our relationships, our opportunities begin to change in a very positive manner. So I have 3 exercises that can really help to uncover what's going on within. The first exercise I want to share is called Truth and Lies exercise. Now, this one is very helpful to uncover really the lies that we tell ourselves, and unveils the constant chatter that we have going on. Now, this is something that is helpful to show us the sort of programming that we've been given either through family, friends, society, and really helps us pinpoint what's going on. Now, there are a lot of forces that want to keep us at sort of a socially acceptable norm, but if it was actually quite good for us as a whole, we wouldn't see so much disease, sickness, bullying, anger, warfare. So clearly there's a disconnect between what's socially acceptable and what's actually good for us as individuals and as a community. Now, this exercise can be done for any part of your life, but I find it helpful to focus on areas of personal development such as physical health, money, career, finances, relationships, and spirituality or religion if that's important for you. Now, in each of these areas, focus on what you're telling yourself and see if those are actually lies or something that someone was given to you. So for me, it was really important to uncover what money meant for me. And for a long time, and I'm sure many other people included, money had a very negative connotation. Now, at its core, money is obviously a very neutral force. It can be used for good or for evil, and it's just a tool that we have to uncover. So when I say things to myself like money is evil, or I'll never be rich, or you have to take advantage of others to get money, clearly there's layers underneath that need to be exposed to uncover what's really going on within. Even starting a YouTube channel and being able to teach and share, I had to overcome self-image issues and things I would say to myself like, oh, no one wants to hear what I have to say, or I'm going to say something stupid and people are going to attack me. Now, it was a lot of lower self-talk to begin with, but in other areas of my life, I could be extremely arrogant or cocky. So there are balances in areas where I'd have to uncover it and go deep within to see what's really important for me. So for each area, write down the lie that you tell yourself. And for each lie, you want to go a little bit deeper. Some of them are 1 level, some of them are 2 to 3 to 4 levels deep. But as you uncover each layer, eventually you get to the kernel of truth. Now, you write these lies in black and you write the truth in red. And you come back to this every day for a week and you reread them. And after a week, you erase everything that's in black and all you're left with is the red truth, which helps to stick out in your mind a little bit more strongly. Now, I've done this multiple times in my life, and each time I do it, it gets a little bit deeper and it always uncovers something else that's going on. Because for every challenge that you overcome, a new one presents, and it's a positive opportunity to uncover and keep growing. Now, the second exercise I want to share is a forgiveness exercise. Now, forgiveness is a very powerful tool because it helps us overcome low vibrational self-talk and energy issues like doubt, anger, fear, depression, jealousy, envy, and hate. And this is definitely one of the most raw exercises I've had to do, and I've had to relive certain memories that I'd rather would have had deleted over time and totally forgot about them. But when I went back to these with a state of openness and honesty with the intent to learn, it really was a very transformational experience. Now, there are a lot of things that happen to us as we age, and for any of us that have gone through any sort of trauma, it's not always so easy to overcome these, and we always kind of hold on to them in our hearts. Now, when we go back to these experiences over time, we begin to identify and crystallize with them, and it becomes our identity. But a lot of times these can be really self-destructive and no longer serving us in any sort of capacity or purpose. So for this exercise, think of an event, person, place where it held a very strong emotional charge for you, where someone did or said something that really hurt you in an emotional way, and you've never really gotten over it in any sort of capacity. So for me, I wrote a few letters initially, a couple to my parents, my business partner, my sisters, and a few to myself, which are very important. So really think of that situation. Put yourself back in there. And it's important to try to vividly reimagine it. And it sucks, but really get that emotion going, and then address a letter to that person. And write from a rawness and truthfulness, where you tell them how that situation and what they did really affected you, how it kind of changed the way you view things going forward, and how you haven't really had any sort of closure. Now, it's really important to, again, emotionalize the content and be as real and as honest. Say everything you've ever wanted to say to that person. Now, once you finish that letter, the next part is really hard, but it really does help to expand your consciousness and your ability to empathize, because you put yourself in another person's shoes. So from the point of view of that person that you're writing the letter to, write a letter back to yourself. So for me, it was Dear Dawn, and from the point of view of my parents. And this part of the exercise is, what you really want to do is hear everything that you need to hear from that person so that you can overcome that situation. Now, I find it helpful to speak from their point of view, saying how why they did that was because of things that they were going on through their life. That was part of sort of their journey, and the intent and the meaning, or what they had to say to you, was part of their self-development process, and it wasn't necessarily an attack on you as an individual or as a person. But at the same time, you want to hear what you need to hear so that eventually you can forgive them. So it can be something like an I love you or an I forgive you. But this process is actually very, very scientifically sound too, because as we know now with quantum physics and quantum mechanics and so traditional teachings with meditation, is that if we hold something in our mind strong enough with emotional content, eventually our mind begins to take it as fact that it actually happened. So if you can do this exercise properly without actually having to do sort of like meditation or have any sort of experience with that, you can actually go through this process, and then eventually your mind takes it as fact. And what happens is that as you reread the letter going back to yourself, you'll find a lightness happen inside of you. You'll find even the relationship within yourself and that person begins to grow and evolve. And what I find really interesting was that once I've written these letters and then went back and had conversations with these people, my whole demeanor and energy changed to them. And because of that, our relationship changed in a very positive way. And they were able to express themselves without even knowing in a more positive way. And because of that, our relationship evolved. Now, of course, depending on the situation and what happened, that process is going to be different for everybody. But if we can get that forgiveness in our hearts, eventually we can see that, we can begin to sort of move on and grow, because that person no longer holds any sort of power. And it's not even the person, it's the meaning that we give to the event that held the power over us. So because of that, we can reprogram ourselves and begin to invite some more empathy and forgiveness in our lives. The last exercise I want to share is to write your own eulogy. Now, it's a little bit morbid, but that's okay. And the fear of death and our mortality is something that we're always going to have to face and overcome in our lives. Now, imagine yourself at your funeral. Picture the atmosphere. Who's there? How many people are there? What's the mood like? Are there people crying? Is it joyful? Is it small? Is it big? Is there a sense of resentment or honesty or closure in the crowd? Now, once you kind of get the mood and the atmosphere in your mind, let someone come up and give you a eulogy. It could be a close friend, a family member, or it could even be an older version of yourself. Now, what would you want this person to say to the congregation and to the crowd? What would you want your accomplishments to be shared? What areas of your life would you want to be focused on? What sort of milestones did you hit? Is this eulogy one of regret, sorrow, despair? Or is it one of love, joy, and accomplishment? Now, this exercise is extremely self-reflective because it really allows you to focus on when you're faced with your mortality. What's important to you? What do you hold closest to your heart? And what's the driving force now going forward? And it really lets you narrow down, if you have sort of a busy mind or don't know what's going on, what you want to focus on. I found all three of these exercises to be extremely helpful for myself, and I hope that you find them helpful as well. And really take the time to do them. Writing down with the hand is always very powerful, but in our day and age, even writing it down in our computers is still a very, very good process. Just be real, be honest, be vivid, and have emotion. Now, if you found these helpful, please share this video and share the exercises with a close friend or family member, and maybe do it with them and see what comes up. And I'm sure you're going to find it to be very, very informative. So that's all for today. Thank you for sharing and coming here with me and being real and honest. So take care.